There's a quiet space just before sunrise when the world hasn't fully awakened. The air feels different. The noise hasn't started. No demands, no expectations. In that delicate pause, life feels wide open, like untouched ground waiting for your first step. Most people move past these moments without even noticing them. They wake up and immediately reach for distraction. They scroll, they react, they rush, and in doing so, they forget that every morning is an opportunity to reset. But something in you is shifting. You're not here by accident. You're ready to interrupt old cycles, ready to take back your attention, your energy, your calm. Real change doesn't begin with dramatic reinvention. It starts quietly, with small, intentional choices repeated daily, ordinary actions carried out with uncommon awareness. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You control your mind, not external events." Understand that, and you'll discover real strength. That strength shows up in how you begin your day, in the habits you choose, in the standards you hold yourself to. Over the next 7 days, those small decisions will compound. In this video, we'll walk through 5 simple habits that can sharpen your clarity, stabilize your energy, and deepen your focus. These practices will help you stay grounded when life feels unstable, steady your emotions when they rise, and reconnect you with a quiet inner resilience. Epictetus reminded us that no one is truly free unless they govern themselves. Real freedom begins internally, through discipline, awareness, and intention. These habits are a path toward that self-mastery. So stay with this. Don't divide your attention. Let each idea land. Let it challenge you. Let it strengthen you. If this message speaks to you, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. I'm glad you're here. In the next few minutes, we'll break down each habit step by step, practical, straightforward, and rooted in centuries of Stoic wisdom. Let's begin. These 5 practices have stood the test of time. Emperors relied on them. Philosophers lived by them. Ordinary men and women used them to build extraordinary inner stability. This isn't abstract theory, it's lived experience. Each habit works independently, but together, they create momentum. Morning gives you control. Reflection gives you clarity. Movement fuels your energy. Detox sharpens your attention. Evening planning gives direction. Follow this structure for 1 week, and you'll feel the difference. Your thinking will be clearer, your energy more consistent, your days more intentional. That's not hype. It's what happens when structure replaces chaos. The ancient Stoics didn't deal with smartphones or constant notifications, but they understood human nature, the tendency to drift, the pull toward distraction, the need for discipline. When we practice what they practiced, we're not copying the past, we're activating principles that have always worked. Waking early wasn't about romance, it was strategy. It was claiming the most valuable hours of the day, when your mind is fresh and your willpower strongest, when the world is still quiet enough for you to hear your own thoughts, before the noise begins, before demands pile up, before your attention gets fragmented. That's the ground we're reclaiming. Habit 1. Rise early and take ownership of your morning. This habit is simple, but transformative. It reshapes not only your schedule, but your identity. The sun doesn't wait for permission to rise. It doesn't check the forecast for motivation. It shows up consistently every day. No excuses, no hesitation. There's a lesson in that consistency. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to feel inspired. You need to act. The Stoics valued the early hours not because they admired the sunrise, but because they understood human psychology. In the morning, your mental strength is at its peak. Your thoughts are clearer. Your environment is quieter. Before the notifications, before the emails, before other people's priorities try to take control of your day. That window is powerful. Guard it. Use it to think, to plan, to breathe. Every morning presents a choice. Will you lead the day or react to it? Marcus Aurelius began his mornings preparing mentally for whatever challenges Rome would bring. He understood a simple truth. Whoever shapes the morning shapes the day. But waking early isn't really about the clock. It's about intention. It's about deciding that you determine the tone of your day instead of letting circumstances decide it for you. When you hit snooze, it's more than delaying a sound. It's reinforcing a pattern. It's choosing immediate comfort over long-term discipline. And yes, the bed is warm. The room is cold. 5 extra minutes feels harmless, but 5 becomes 10. 10 becomes 20. Suddenly you're rushing, skipping steps, reacting instead of leading. You've handed over control before you even stood up. Seneca wrote extensively about time, not just as philosophy but as urgency. He understood that time is finite, that mornings don't repeat themselves, that wasted hours never return. We live as though our supply of days is unlimited. It isn't. Every morning you surrender is one you'll never reclaim, not as a threat, but as clarity. Time is the only asset you can't replenish. The Stoics built their lives around that understanding. Here's how this habit looks in practice. Set your alarm for sunrise, or 30 minutes earlier than usual if that feels more realistic for now. When it rings, count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move. Don't negotiate. Don't analyze. Don't open the door to internal debate. The longer you stay still, the louder the excuses become. Your mind will offer reasons. I didn't sleep well. I'll start tomorrow. Just 5 more minutes. The moment you start arguing with yourself, you've already lost ground. So don't give your mind the microphone. Stand up and begin. Move, feet on the ground. Stand up before the excuses find you. Let actions speak first. Once you're upright, resist the reflex to reach for your phone. No scrolling, no inbox, no stepping into someone else's urgency before you've stepped into your own day. Instead, hydrate, stretch slowly, walk to a window and let natural light hit your eyes. Take 3 steady breaths. Then remind yourself, I am here, I am alive, I have this day. Say it with intention, feel it. This moment belongs to you. No one can steal it unless you hand it over. The first hour of your morning shapes everything that follows. Begin in chaos, and chaos follows you. Begin in anxiety, and it lingers. But begin with awareness, with gratitude even briefly, and the entire tone of your day shifts. You stop reacting, you start leading. And here's what's remarkable. After a few days, your system adjusts. You begin waking up with less resistance. Your thinking sharpens. You discover something rare. Margin. Real time. Time to think clearly. Time to move deliberately. Time to act before the world starts demanding. It feels like freedom, because it is. That opening hour is yours alone. No notifications, no expectations, no competing agendas. Just quiet ownership. Read, stretch, journal, sit in silence. Plan your day. The specific activity matters less than the decision itself. The power lies in choosing, not defaulting. Think about the individuals you respect most, the creators, the builders, the leaders. Almost all of them protect their mornings fiercely. They understand a simple truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup. This isn't about becoming hyper-productive. It's about self-respect. It's about saying, my goals deserve my best energy, not what's left over at night. The Stoics practice something called premeditatio malorum, imagining potential challenges before they happened, not as pessimism, but preparation. They would ask, what obstacles might I face today? How will I respond? What remains within my control? By doing this early, they removed the shock from difficulty. They weren't caught off guard. They were ready. Owning your morning creates space for that readiness. It doesn't shield you from problems. It strengthens you to meet them. The gift of waking early isn't more hours. It's higher quality hours. Hours when you are present, steady and intentional. The day will pull at you later. That's unavoidable. But if you've already claimed your first hour, you've already won something meaningful. You've proven to yourself that you can act without hesitation. That the day does not dictate you, you dictate the day. Seneca observed that much of our suffering lives in anticipation, not reality. The quiet morning is where you confront those imagined fears, where you acknowledge what you've been avoiding, where you decide what you're finally ready to face. In that silence, you reclaim the narrative. The 5-second countdown isn't just about getting out of bed, it's about asserting authority over your impulses. It's a declaration that your goals outrank your comfort. That inner voice will always whisper, "Stay." Your power lies in standing anyway. Every sunrise offers the same question: who's in charge? Give yourself 1 week, 7 mornings of discipline, 7 mornings of choosing long-term strength over short-term comfort. Then observe the difference. Notice how your confidence expands. Notice how problems that felt overwhelming at night seem manageable in the clarity of morning light. Notice how self-trust begins to return, because that's what this habit truly builds. Trust. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, even a small one, you reinforce your identity. You become someone reliable, someone steady. If you can't trust yourself with small commitments, how will you trust yourself with larger ones? Each morning you rise, you strengthen that foundation. The sun shows up daily without hesitation. So can you. Say it clearly. I own my mornings. I own my life. Not as motivation, as commitment. Try it for 7 days, then measure the shift. Your energy will stabilize, your thoughts will clear, your focus will deepen. You'll rediscover a version of yourself that only appears when you choose discipline. Now let's move to the second habit. Reflection may sound gentle, but to the Stoics, it was rigorous practice, as essential as physical training, as serious as study. Without reflection, you don't grow. You simply repeat. You need a pause, a space to process, a moment to ask, what actually happened today? Where did I respond well? Where can I improve? Without that pause, you're surviving. With it, you're evolving. The Stoics refused to let a day pass without examining it, no matter how busy, no matter how exhausted, because they understood what happens otherwise. You drift, you react, you lose clarity, you forget what matters. Life grows louder, you feel smaller, so they protected that time. They treated it as non-negotiable. Habit 2. Dedicate 30 minutes to daily reflection. Beneath the noise of your responsibilities, beneath expectations, beneath endless input, there is still a steady version of you, a version that remembers your values. The Stoics insisted on reconnecting with that voice each evening. Seneca ended his days with 3 questions. Where did I fall short? What did I do well? What will I improve tomorrow? Not with self-criticism, but with honesty. This wasn't journaling for aesthetics. It was calibration, course correction, growth. Without reflection, days blur together. Mistakes repeat, lessons evaporate. With reflection, experience becomes wisdom. Set aside 30 minutes. No distractions, no screens, just a notebook and deliberate thought. Review your actions, examine your reactions, identify your triggers, acknowledge your progress. Growth requires awareness, and awareness requires stillness. This habit strengthens your inner compass. It aligns your behavior with your principles. It ensures that each day builds upon the last instead of repeating it. Without reflection, you live unconsciously. With it, you live deliberately, and that changes everything. What did I handle well today? Where did I miss the mark? What will I adjust tomorrow? The questions are simple, but they cut deep. Because without reflection, we drift. We operate on autopilot. We repeat the same mistakes without noticing. Gradually, we lose alignment with the person we're trying to become. Reflection is how you process your life. It's how you take the raw experience of the day, the conversations, the emotions, the decisions, and convert them into understanding. You're not just accumulating days. You're extracting meaning from them. You're not just living, you're integrating. Some people prefer reflecting in the morning when the mind feels clean and uncluttered. Others find clarity at night, when the noise has faded and nothing new is competing for attention. The Stoics leaned toward evening reflection. The work was finished. The world had quieted. It was time to review, not react. Journaling is one powerful way to do this. Marcus Aurelius kept private notes that we now call meditations. He wasn't performing, he wasn't writing for an audience. He was thinking on paper, untangling his thoughts, correcting himself, strengthening his perspective. He wrote to sharpen his mind, not to impress anyone. That's why his words still resonate. They were honest. When you dedicate 30 minutes consistently to reflection, something subtle happens. Your inner dialogue becomes clearer. The signal strengthens. The static fades. Reflection doesn't create your inner voice. It reveals it. The Stoics referred to this inner guide as the daimon, not a demon in the modern sense, but your higher reasoning. The part of you that sees clearly when you slow down enough to listen, the part that recognizes self-deception, the part that knows what you've been postponing. Epictetus reminded his students that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Reflection is how you listen, especially to yourself. Most people never pause long enough to ask, why did I react that way? What pattern keeps repeating? What am I avoiding? They move from day to day without examining it. But growth requires examination. When you sit quietly with yourself for 30 minutes, you're not wasting time. You're building self-awareness. You're strengthening your internal compass. You're developing intimacy with your own values. And that kind of clarity doesn't emerge in noise. It emerges in stillness. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. You notice what consistently triggers you, what restores you, where you compromise, where you stand firm. You begin to see clearly what must change and what must stay. This is how you stop being a stranger to yourself. You don't need a leather-bound journal. You don't need eloquent language. You only need consistency. Choose a time, protect it, phone away, notifications off. Then ask yourself, what went well today? Where did I fall short? What am I resisting right now? What truth do I need to accept? Some days insight will flow. Other days you'll write only a few sentences. That's fine. The value is in the repetition, not the performance. Presence over perfection. With time, you'll notice deeper layers. The fears beneath your reactions, the insecurities beneath your defensiveness, the desires beneath your frustration. This is what the Stoics meant by self-knowledge. Now let's move to the third habit. Habit 3. Train the body to strengthen the mind. The Stoics never separated mental strength from physical vitality. To them, the body and mind were not 2 separate projects. They were one system. A neglected body clouds the mind. You cannot expect clarity if you're chronically fatigued, stiff, or tense. You cannot sustain focus if your energy is stagnant. Marcus Aurelius trained in wrestling and boxing. Seneca, despite fragile health, maintained disciplined physical routines. They didn't train for appearance. They trained for resilience. Movement was proof of discipline. Physical training isn't about aesthetics. It's about energy. It's about clearing mental fog. It's about reminding yourself that discomfort is survivable. When your thoughts feel heavy or tangled, movement cuts through them, like wind dispersing smoke. Here's what this habit looks like. 30 minutes of intentional movement each day. Not casual, not distracted, intentional. Run, lift, swim, cycle, box, hike. Do bodyweight exercises at home. If you're just beginning, take a brisk walk, but walk with purpose. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need ideal conditions. You need a decision. I move today. I move tomorrow. I make this standard. The Stoics understood something modern science later confirmed. Physical movement regulates emotion, sharpens cognition, and stabilizes mood. When you train your body, you're not just building strength, you're building credibility with yourself. You're proving that you can choose effort over comfort, and that proof changes how you see yourself. Because movement isn't optional if you want clarity. It's foundational. A stagnant body breeds stagnant thinking. An active body supports decisive thought. Train your body, not to impress others, but to clear your own mind. That's habit 3. Your daily movement becomes visible proof. Proof that you can act even when motivation is low. Proof that you don't wait for perfect conditions. Proof that discipline is something you practice, not something you talk about. The Stoics deliberately exposed themselves to controlled discomfort. They slept on hard surfaces. They took cold baths. They fasted at times, not as punishment, as training. They understood something modern culture forgets. Constant comfort weakens resolve. Chosen difficulty strengthens it. Your commitment to movement is a modern version of that practice. Stress doesn't disappear. It accumulates. It settles in your shoulders, your jaw, your breathing. Anxiety, frustration, restlessness, they don't just live in your thoughts. They live in your body. Movement gives those emotions somewhere to go. When you train, tension releases. When your heart rate rises, mental fog clears. A single honest session can reset both body and mind at the same time. It doesn't need to be extreme. It doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to be real. Within a few days of consistent movement, you'll feel the shift. Sleep improves, mood stabilizes, focus sharpens. Stress becomes easier to carry. Because physical discipline reinforces mental clarity. The Stoics believed a meaningful life required a body strong enough to support it. So tell yourself quietly, I respect my body. I strengthen it intentionally. Start where you are. 10 focused minutes today, 11 tomorrow. Build gradually. Consistency always beats intensity. 10 minutes every day reshapes you more than 2 exhausting hours once a month. Your body will adapt. Your mind will follow. The first week may feel uncomfortable. Muscles may ache. Motivation may dip. That's not failure. That's adaptation. Keep showing up. Now, let's talk about something even more challenging. Habit 4. Digital detox. Reclaim your attention. For many people, the phone is the first thing they touch each morning, before their feet hit the floor, before they've formed a single original thought. That isn't intention, that's surrender. An algorithm determines your emotional tone before you do. The Stoics didn't have smartphones, but they understood distraction. They dealt with gossip, rumors, political drama, constant social tension, and they deliberately limited exposure to it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to confine attention to what is essential, to avoid being pulled in every direction by noise. Today, the distraction is engineered. Notifications are designed to hook you. Feeds are optimized to hold you. Your attention is monetized, and attention is finite. Every hour consumed by digital noise is an hour not invested in your health, relationships, growth, or peace. Epictetus taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control our response to them. You may not control the feed, but you control when you open it. Choose boundaries deliberately. Maybe the first hour of your morning is phone-free. Maybe the last hour before bed. Maybe Sunday mornings are sacred and offline. The exact rule matters less than your commitment to it. Pick a boundary, protect it. During that window, put the phone out of reach, physically away, not face down beside you, away. Then reclaim the space. Write, read a physical book. Walk without headphones. Sit in silence long enough to feel slightly uncomfortable. Let boredom reappear. Because constant stimulation numbs clarity, the Stoics practiced voluntary restraint to build resilience. Digital boundaries are the modern version of that discipline. They also lived with memento mori, the awareness that life is finite. Time spent mindlessly scrolling is time you never get back. This habit isn't anti-technology, it's pro-attention. It's the quiet declaration, my focus belongs to me. Your life will mirror where your attention consistently goes. Spend it on noise, life feels noisy. Spend it on depth, life gains depth. Which brings us to the final habit. Habit 5. Evening preparation. Win tomorrow tonight. Every morning, there's a silent conflict. One version of you wants growth, the other wants comfort. Most people decide that battle in the morning, when willpower is fragile. The Stoics decided it the night before. Instead of collapsing into distraction at night, they prepared. They reduced friction. They made the right choice easier than the wrong one. They refused to leave tomorrow to chance. Before you sleep, take 15 to 20 minutes to prepare the next day. Be specific, not exercise, but run at 6 a.m. for 30 minutes. Not work on project, but write 500 words before 9 a.m. Clarity eliminates negotiation. When morning arrives, there's nothing to debate. The decision has already been made. The night is for planning. The morning is for execution. Marcus Aurelius mentally rehearsed challenges before they arrived. He imagined obstacles, not to worry, but to prepare. Evening preparation works the same way. Look at tomorrow and ask, what truly matters? What deserves my best energy? What distractions must I avoid? Lay out your clothes, prepare your workspace, write your top 3 priorities, remove as many small decisions as possible. Decision fatigue weakens discipline, preparation strengthens it. When you wake up knowing exactly what to do, momentum builds instantly. The battle isn't won in the morning, it's won the night before. And when you combine all 5 habits, intentional mornings, daily reflection, consistent movement, protected attention, and evening preparation, something powerful happens. You stop drifting, you start directing, you stop reacting, you start choosing, not perfectly, but deliberately. And that deliberate living is what the Stoics meant by mastery. 1 week is enough to feel the shift. 7 mornings, 7 reflections, 7 sessions of movement, 7 protected hours, 7 prepared evenings. Small actions, massive compounding. You don't need a new life, you need a new structure. And structure creates freedom. Start tomorrow morning, or better yet, start tonight. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. You can practice it too. Each evening, ask yourself, if I'm tempted to skip my morning routine, what will it cost me? Will I oversleep, lose the best hour of my day, start in reaction instead of intention? When you see the cost clearly, you stop lying to yourself about just this once. Then prepare your environment, lay out your clothes, set up the coffee, pack your bag, place your journal where you'll see it. Reduce friction for the first hour of tomorrow. When you wake up, there's less to resist, less to decide, less room for excuses. As Epictetus said, we cannot control events, but we can control our response. Preparation is your first response. When you lay out clothes, write your list, decide tonight. You're not just getting ready, you're taking control. Tomorrow is prepared. You can rest now. Sleep becomes easier, deeper, because you're not carrying the weight of an unplanned day. Each evening you prepare. Each morning you execute. The Stoics believed in living with intention. Not we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I will meet tomorrow prepared. That single sentence can change how you sleep. Less anxiety, less scrambling, more calm, more execution. The battle is won at night. Small habits compound. 1 week, you feel different. 1 month, you are different. 1 year, you're transformed. How the 5 Stoic habits form a complete system. 5 habits: waking at dawn, 30 minutes of reflection, movement, digital detox, evening preparation. Each one stands alone. Each one strengthens the others. Together they form a system. Morning sets your tone. Reflection builds clarity. Movement builds energy. Detox protects attention. Evening prepares tomorrow. Morning makes reflection easier. Reflection makes movement intentional. Movement makes detox simpler. Detox makes evening calmer. Evening makes morning possible. A positive loop, not scattered tips, not random advice. A coherent way of living, designed by people who took human nature seriously. These habits aren't a checklist. They're a framework for mastering your mind. The philosophers didn't wait for perfect conditions. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still wrote, reflected, prepared. Seneca faced exile and illness and still examined his days. Epictetus was born a slave and still taught freedom through discipline. Their lives were messy, their schedules were full, they weren't superhuman. They chose a system. You can too. Start small. One habit, 1 week. Master your mind. Own your life. Start today.